Things are really beginning to heat up in this new episode with action and controversies. So, what's happened, what's changed, and what does it mean? Spoiler alert for this episode, obviously. First off, we see Abby in the hospital, having some sort of nightmare hinting at the fact that her father was the surgeon, which is of course confirmed later. After waking up, Abby and the rest of the group converse and Abby goes out to keep watch. Ultimately, the story and how it is told remains congruent with the game up until the point where we found out that Jesse is the one who goes out on patrol with Ellie instead of Dina. Dina, of course, being with Joel.
I'm gonna go on patrol with him, like fucking daddy-daughter day, okay? Okay.
He already went out.
What? Who's who?
Dina, left an hour ago.
This change, though initially surprising, makes a lot of sense considering what happens next. Ignoring the excluded scenes with Dina and Ellie, the meat of the changes are with Tommy. As Ellie and Jesse are going to meet with Maria, we see Tommy giving a speech to the town talking about emergency preparations, showing his important leadership role in Jackson. His importance is further emphasized as the attack on Jackson unfolds. We see him direct guards, make orders, and stand his ground against the infected, single-handedly taking out a bloater. These acts of heroism put a strong emphasis on Tommy's connection to the town and its people, as well as the people's dependence on him, but more on that later. As this all unfolds, Joel and Dina save Abby and, well, you know. Ellie hears Joel is missing and tracks him down, finding him too late. But all of this is stuff we've seen before, in the game at least. One thing to note is that Tommy's previous role as Joel's patrol partner was not essential, and so switching him out with Dina had no effect on this part of the story. And the same can be argued about Jesse taking Dina's place. Now, it is time to discuss the impact of these changes and how it relates to the show as a whole. That means I will be talking about future events, so there will most likely be spoilers for future episodes. First, we need to address the surprisingly small elephant in the room, Abby. In my previous videos, I've talked about how I think Abby should be approached as a character, and so far they have done kind of the opposite. As it stands, Abby is being set up as the villain of the story. Relatively little has been done to make her feel sympathetic. In fact, she is shown to be unreasonable and cruel. This can work if Abby is not force-fed to the audience too early on, as some might have felt she was in the game. Right now, everyone hates her and doesn't care if she's not the worst person on the planet. They just want justice, if you will. In context to how the story has been presented so far, sticking relatively close to the game would be my preferred course of action. You can see my other videos for a more thorough plan of that. With Dina being Joel's patrol partner, there is a switch-up of dynamics which I was pleasantly surprised by. Tommy's initial role with Joel was not important as he got knocked out just like Dina and had the same amount of character development. None. With this change, we are able to see Tommy through a new light. The attack on Jackson was a really nice addition for a few reasons. First, it provided for some much needed action and intensity. Second, it added some moments of suspense for those familiar with the game like me, where I really did not know what was going to happen. But third, and arguably most important, it adds to the impact of Tommy leaving Jackson to hunt down Abby. Assuming that still happens, of course. Some moments of conflict in the game that are not fully explained is that between Tommy and Maria. Maria doesn't want Tommy to leave, he does anyway, and then we hear that his marriage has problems.
Maria good?
She's fine. We're taking some time apart.
Though Maria feeling that she is being abandoned by Tommy is a reasonable issue to have, it becomes further stressed with the addition of the attack on Jackson. The town is crippled, and the people need leaders like Tommy more than ever. Tommy, throwing everything away to go after Abby, is a strong first step for exploring the themes of revenge that will be prevalent later on. A couple of scenes were missing from the game with Dina and Ellie. These scenes mostly were there to build their relationship beyond the New Year's dance scene. With them being excluded, their relationship remains less defined. However, they will be spending a lot more time together when they leave for Seattle, And so in my opinion, there is not anything lost with the exclusion of these few scenes. Something that was built up more was Ellie's relationship with Jesse. The scenes with him did a good job at showing how good of a person he is and how he cares about everyone in the story. My concern was that we would not get to know Jesse well before Seattle and that he would feel out of place. But as things stand, I think things are going in the right direction. Now, it is complaint time. One of the most frustrating things for me in the game was the fact that they withheld the story of Joel and Ellie. Before Joel's death, they didn't show Ellie going to the hospital to learn the truth about the Fireflies and what happened there, and they don't show them making up after Ellie's outburst. The same thing is happening with the show. We are being led to believe that Joel died on bad terms with Ellie, which in reality didn't happen. As the audience, we feel angry that their conflict wasn't resolved before Joel's death, except it was. What we should really be angry about is that they had just started on the path of healing and acceptance until it was cut short by Abby. This also plays well into later themes of acceptance and moving on. It feels that we are being withheld information for the sake of prolonging Joel's screen time, not for the sake of the story. I remember when I was finishing playing the second game, watching the porch scene going, oh, so they didn't end on bad terms. This was not an awe-inspiring revelation, more of a realization that I wasn't fully understanding the story, even though there was no way for me to actually understand the story until that point. I expect these scenes I mentioned will come later, but I will ask the same question that I did in my last video. Why not now? At this point, I think that I'm just shouting into the void, so I will try and shut up about it. All in all, I actually really enjoyed this episode. The first one had me a bit worried, but this was a real step up. People aren't going to like that Joel died, but that is just a part of the story, and like Ellie, they need to move on. This episode felt much more cohesive, following simple storylines that interacted with and impacted each other in unique ways that made sense and actually progressed the story in a linear fashion. There are two routes which I can see the story taking from this point on. I find it likely that they will continue in the game's footsteps more closely, as they did with this episode, having Ellie, Dina, and Tommy leaving for Seattle, and including some small flashbacks of Joel. Something they might do is include the scenes I mentioned with Ellie and Joel in an entire flashback episode, further increasing the impact of his death while finally giving the audience a bit of closure which is desperately needed for Abby's sake. I personally think that this would be the better way to go, but we'll see what happens. I'm interested in your guys' thoughts from predictions to opinions, so let me know in the comments. If you're interested in my broader perspective of the story, the video is here, and so is the subscribe button, as I will be posting every week as episodes release. Keep an open mind and take care of yourself. See ya.